It's been a little bit since I've recorded anything, simply for the fact that I've been busy with a new job, and basically started hardcore CCIE route and switch training, which is actually what you guys see on the screen right now. What I did, and I'm actually really happy that I did it. What I was doing was I was going through the entire video series that Eiit put out, and going step by step through each one and doing all the theory and trying to pull all the theory out so that I would be able to take theory and build upon that to eventually go from step 1, I've never heard it, to step 2, you know what it is, to 3, you can configure it, 4, you can verify it, 5, you can troubleshoot it, and well, in the 6th step would be you can not only configure, verify, and troubleshoot it, but you can teach somebody else about it. And well, that right there to me means that you understand it at that level. Now, you'll hear other trainers talk about, going beyond that and being able to have an expert level of understanding. And well, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But to some people, knowing it at a granular level is pretty much all they want. But as you can see, as I'm scrolling here, I've gone through each section of the video series, and up to about right here is where you leave. All this stuff right here is layer 2. So you'll get multiple spanning tree, and then you'll get MAC address table stuff, storm control, then the span and RSpan, and stuff like that. Everything from here on up to here is all layer 2. So anything to do with your data link layer. And then when you drop down here, you get into frame relay, which is still layer 2. Everything you can do with frame relay. And in case anybody's wondering where I got this, you can go to Eiit's website, and on their website they have the self-paced section right here, and you come down to workbooks, and I'm under the workbook section. And if you click down here on workbook volume 1, which is the one you're going to want to do when you're just getting into your CCIE prep, now assuming you've completed the CCNA and the CCNP level of studies. If you haven't completed CCNA and CCNP and you jump right into CCIE, I'm going to tell you out of the gate, you're going to struggle with it, because they're going to be bringing up concepts that you may not have ever heard of. So it's going to be much more difficult for you to get up to speed, in my opinion, than it will be if you've already gone through CCNA level and CCNP level studies, because this fills in every little gap that you may have. If you don't know at least the CCNP level's understanding of how switching and routing work, you're going to struggle. So that's basically where it sits with that. But this thing goes through everything. Now, what I did, and all I did, is I took this and I just copy and pasted it into here. So, and then I went through and I went line by line, and I just hit the down arrow and the enter all the way through. I might have missed one or two, but I think I got them all. And it goes through everything. And as you can see, there's a lot there. Why did I do that? Well, as you're going through the videos in order, they cover everything here. So there might be a few in here that I haven't gotten, like down here at the bottom where it gets into multiple spanning tree. I didn't know a lot about MST out of the gate. I mean, I knew it was beneficial to run MST in some degree, in some ways, because of the fact that it's able to take a range of VLANs, say VLAN 2 through say 300, and put it in a single instance, kind of like multicast. Look at it like that, to where you can have or I'm sorry, not multicast, but like OSPF, where you have a bunch of routes in one area. And by doing that, you're able to take all of your VLANs that are set up over here, that'll be in your routing or in your switch environment. You're able to take those, put them into an MST region, and have separate instances for them. So it's very scalable. And as you can see right um, here, multiple instances, multiple VLANs per instance, making it highly scalable. But I'm not going to get into any type of lecture. But my goal was to go through each one of these, and whether it was now that I see that, let me hop in here real quick. Does he cover that? Oh, oh, wait a minute, maybe he does. Click. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. 1 second. There we go. Oh, he doesn't do that here. But as you can see right here, let me minimize this. I'm right here in IP default. Where is that? Enhanced object tracking. Oh, I'm in the wrong. Hang on, let me get my transparent bridging. Where's GRE? Gotta find GRE. Okay, here we are. GRE tunneling. GRE tunneling. Then you got policy routing right here. If you notice right here, there's OER. OER is optimized edge routing. That's not in here. So, if you back on Eiit's website, right here, I'll maximize this. I'll cut that off. I've gone through this entire series. I've looked through it. I haven't watched every video because it's like 83 hours or something like that. If you click up here on the resources tab, and then there's free vSeminars. There is the PFR vSeminar. As you can see, it's almost 8 hours long. And Brian Dennis goes over some conceptual stuff, which when you go through the CCIE written exam, they don't cover optimized edge routing in there, but in the book, let me bring that up real quick, and here it goes. Bring that in here. You click on this guy, and you click on IP routing, right here. Performance routing, PFR, and optimized edge routing. Optimized edge routing is like, if you consider OSPF, EIGRP, RIP, IS to IS, BGP. BGP is kind of in a class of its own. If you consider the other 3 IGPs, they're basically, say for instance, generation 1 routing protocols. Okay, well maybe RIP version 1 would be generation 1. All the classless will be like generation 2. OER will be like generation 3. And then PFR would be like generation 4. And the reason I say that is because PFR, it allows you to turn it on in monitor mode, which means it just looks at your network and will give you feedback as to what it would have done in that particular routing instance. So this is the book for your written exam. It is, as you saw, I'm going to come back up to the top here. It is the CCIE routing and switching exam preparation, 4th edition. It's a great tool. It's got the 4.0 blueprint, which is the latest one out there, and it's written by 3 very well-known CCIEs. Wendell Odom has been a CCIE for since like 94, 95. And then Russ Healy, he's right up there with him. And then Denise Donahue. She co-wrote, she was responsible for more of the configuration side of it, but this thing goes through everything you're going to need to know about the boot camp or the written exam. So as I'm going through a section, like right now, I've got all this stuff right here is all layer 2 stuff. So Ethernet basics, it's going to cover Ethernet speed duplex, fast and gig Ethernet, switch port analyzer, which is what span is, and then remote span, which is where you have it going from one switch to another, and span is all on the same switch. And then I'm going through all three of these. I'm kind of mapping the chapters that I'm going through here to my studies on the lab section of it. So that would be right here. So as I'm going, move that out of the way real quick. So as I'm going through this, I'm taking what I've learned in layer 2 and applying it to here and filling in some of the gaps. If I have a question, I refer to the book. I'll email Brian again and be like, hey, I'm going through your ATC course. I had a question about this. The guy's really good about getting back to you, but of course he's a busy guy because he does a lot of teaching. But I'm going to click on this just so you guys can see what it looks like, and then it's that's how the video starts out. Now I'm not going to play this, but you guys can you guys can go through the video, click on each one. It is 8 hours long, so what I've done is I've gone through the first two parts, which is about 3 hours, and I felt like I was getting ahead of myself. So there's a lot of mention to different things like BGP and MPLS and stuff like that, and I'm not real strong in those areas yet, so I was like, okay, I'm going to back off. But I'm working diligently towards the CCIE written exam. And one thing I'm going to buy is this right here when I get my taxes back, is the bundle, which is all 5. There's 5 books. One of them is Workbook Volume 2, which is more of your full-scale practice labs, and then they have one done up for Dynamips for GNS3. And then this one is more this is the one you would actually use for your lab preparation. I mean, they're all going to be lab preparation. And then this is for your troubleshooting right here. I didn't actually read that, but I highly, highly, highly recommend this training package right here. Now they do actually have another one. I've already got the written and video boot camp, or the written and lab video boot camps right here, because they can have training bundles. And I'll click on that real quick. They have I basically have this right here. I have this course right here, which is online. They offer that for free. I've got CCNP video training through another vendor, which is CBT Nuggets. But CBT Nuggets does not, at this current time, and I'll check when I have this video playing, an up-to-date CCIE training. And then they have the written exam video course and the advanced technologies video course. And then you get CCIE Route and Switch Lab Workbook Volume 1. The benefit to this is it gives you a broad overview of what you're going to need. Now you do get rack rental tokens. All I'm going to do is buy the workbooks. I don't need to buy the videos because I already have them. So I'm going to do this right here, and $600 is a sweet deal. You can't beat that, because if you were to buy these individually and 3, 6, 9, 12, $1,500. It says an $895 value, but if you buy them individually in print, they're $300. So you figure you spend 300 times 5, that's $1,500. So you're better off just buying in bulk. You get everything you need, and you go from there. I don't want to worry about a Kindle or an iPad, so that I can have the book in front of me, flip through it, and I can write in it, I can take notes, stuff like that. So it's not perfect, but the INE guys did a really good job of going through this stuff and getting it set up. So that's basically where I'm sitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up, if you give me a second here, pull up the now when you're going through the MPLS section, this is what the topology you're going to get. Now you've seen this video, or you may have seen this one before. There's some videos that I've recorded since before recording the one I'm recording now, and I've reviewed them. I'm not happy with the way that I'm delivering the content, because quite honestly, it's I'm doing too much and I'm getting off track on certain things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a little script of what I'm going to do, and I'll go from there. But I think this is what I want to pull up. Yeah, right here. This is the topology that you're going to follow in the INE version 4 blueprint. Now it does say it's a few years old, but honestly, if the blueprint changes slightly, you just change your configuration. So frame relay is slowly fading its way out. It's going to be one of those type of deals where eventually they'll get rid of it, like they did with ATM and X.25. So ATM is no longer on the IE blueprint, even though it's still widely used in service provider networks. MPLS is the new rave, and then Metro Ethernet. So anybody that works in either of a service provider setting or or anything like that, you're gonna see those. In my current position as a network, I work in network support. We deal with the frame relay, MPLS, ATM. So when we go check with the ISP, we're checking based on the circuit number. So I'll incorporate that a little bit into some of my future trainings. But I just wanted to show you that's basically what you're going to run into when you're going through, and then they show you the cabling, then the physical cabling, and some other things. So that's basically where that sits. That's going to be your MPLS setup. It's going to be different than the other topology, and this will be the provider's network. This will be the provider edge router. This will be a provider edge router, and these will be individual customers. And the reason you see a RIP as the routing protocol here, and then you see a VRF. VRF is a virtual routing and forwarding instance. So basically that's like having a VMware instance of a router on a router. So it's like having a Windows PC running, and you're able to running Windows 7 as your desktop client, and then you have Windows Server 2008 running in a VMware on your computer. So you're able to have another routing table in a virtual instance of a routing table, separate from your global routing table, which would be what you would go into global config mode and set up in either OSPF, EIGRP, or whatever routing protocol you choose. VRF is going to be completely separate from that, and it's going to be routing your MPLS layer 3 VPNs across the provider network to your other sites. So here you have VRFA here and VRFA here. So it's going to go through router 4, which is the provider edge, up to router 2, to router 3, to router 5, and to over here. Same thing with this guy, VRFB. It's going to come down here, and it's going to drop into B, AS10. As long as the autonomous system numbers are the same, it'll route through, as you can see. It'll go up. And then your provider edge will be running MPLS, which you would, at that point, you'd be running MPLS on that interface, and then there'd be a label from this router to this router, and then it would swap a label to this router, another swap from here to here, another swap from here to here, and then eventually it would pop it and then send it across the frame cloud to here. So now I'm talking from the ISP's perspective. MPLS is it's a good technology because it's scalable, but at the same point in time, if you don't understand a lot about it, it's going to be kind of hard to follow. So my best advice to you when it comes to MPLS is to really understand VLAN IDs and frame relay. If you can understand the local significance of VLANs and frame relay, with the VLAN being your VLAN number being locally significant to the switch, and then your frame relay, your DELC, being locally significant to that particular router, that's going to help you with MPLS, because with MPLS, the label is locally significant. It's locally significant between this interface here and this interface here. So you can have label 10 here, and label 10 here, and label 10 here, and here, and here. You can route MPLS over a frame relay because there's a thing called ATOM, or ATOM, any transport over MPLS. Multi-protocol label switching allows you to run over either layer 2 or layer 3, or over any routing protocol. So frame relay, EIGRP, OSPF, BGP, what have you. Now, if you're going to route at layer 2 and do a MPLS layer 2 VPN, that means you're going to have layer 2 connectivity through the entire ISP cloud. So you'll have to have a layer 2 connectivity from here, and then you'll have to set up .1Q tunneling in order to set that up. And then you're going to route it through MPLS, and it's going to have layer 2 connectivity from here to here. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to set a .1Q tunnel from here to your provider network, and then the provider is going to have to be running layer 2 all the way through its network. So .1Q tunnels here, 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 well, basically anywhere inside the provider network. That's how layer 2 works. So in a sense, when you're routing layer 2 from your network here, it's going to be like you are actually connected to this network over here. You are connected, but it'll be a different variation of it. So without getting too complicated with it out of the gate, it's actually a very cool concept when you think about it, because then you're routing layer 2. It makes it a whole lot simpler. Now, there's another technology out there called VPLS, or Virtual Private LAN Services, which is the same thing as an MPLS Layer 2 VPN, but it is transparent Layer 2 VPNs, which is the same thing. It really is. It's like having a logical tunnel where it tunnels right through router 2 to router 1 to router 6 back to backbone 1, and then vice versa the opposite way. From switch 4 to router 4, router 2, router 1, router 6, and then to the backbone router. All of this will be one continuous tunnel. It's logical. It's layer 2, so it knows that if something from this network comes in layer 2 with a MAC address, it's going to ship it right back out this guy to here, and it'll be tunneled through the provider network. Now there's a lot more to it than just that, but that's the gist of it. So I've been dealing a lot lately with tunnels, so that's why I'm pretty familiar with them. But I definitely recommend taking this list of topics, and copying them and pasting them into either an Excel spreadsheet or a Notepad document or Word. I don't recommend Word because formatting gets all screwy, but Notepad or Excel spreadsheet, and then you can, as you're going through, Notepad to me is the easiest, and then as you're going through, you're able to go in and then add in what it is, STP port paths, edge ports that don't require a forwarding delay because it is going to be going to a single user. And then also affects TCN generation, topology change notification. So anytime there's a port fast, depending on if you configure it at global config or locally on the port itself, it will have adverse effects. And then you'll have port fast default is when you configure it on global config mode and it goes to all of them. then you're going to have issues with like BPDU guard, BPD filter, and port fast mode where you won't be able to allow BPDUs in versus BPDUs out. So I've been studying a lot on this. So my point of this video, it's taking me 25 minutes to get to it, but here I am. My point of this video is going to be very, very simple. When you're going through the training, and I'm going to narrow this out just a bit so you can see it. When you're going through bridging and switching, I highly recommend that you go topic by topic. Now, I'm all the way through pretty much all this stuff right here. I'm going to go through and make sure I can define everything. What is this? How do you configure it? What is this? How do you configure it? Go through, and whether you have to go buy a switch and practice this stuff, or you're going to do it on a rack rental, or however you decide to do your training and your studying is up to you. But go step by step. Get a follow the configuration as you're going through it. Make sure you understand everything that's being discussed, because when you're in the lab environment or in the lab exam, you had better know how to do this stuff. And I was actually going to go through and be like, oh, I'm going to do frame relay, and I'm going to do routing, all in one big topology. And I sat back and I'm like, wait a minute. It'd probably be easier if I got layer 2 down pat, because then when I get layer 2 down pat, and I have it to where I can configure it off the top of my head, that's what I want. That's what you need in the lab exam. I haven't taken the lab exam myself, and I haven't even taken the written exam, but what I can tell you from experience, having taken Cisco certification exams, I know from experience that you need to know this stuff quickly. You don't have time to sit there and go, document CD, how do I configure a .1Q tunnel and then allow ether channel to tunnel through it? Well, then you got to find the particular section, then, I don't want to have to wait for that. I want to know off the top of my head, okay, 802.1Q tunnel, so I'm going to configure 2 interfaces, and then, bam, they're up. And then go through. How do I configure VTP pruning? How do I set up the prune eligible list? These are all things you're going to want to know ahead of time. Now, if you notice, they're going in succession from easiest to more difficult. Okay, so in this case, you see ether channel with PAGP and LACP. PAGP, I believe, is Cisco proprietary. LACP is open standard. Then they say layer 3 ether channel. You're going to want to know how to configure all of this before you get to this. Okay? So make sure you understand the concept behind it. Watch the video a couple times if you don't get it. Understand the concept behind it. Configure it step by step by step by step by step. And then once you have it down, you can go in and configure ether channel over 802.1Q tunneling. Step by step. So that's what I'm going to do over the next couple weeks, is I'm going to get layer 2 down. Do I need to focus support on my day-to-day job? No, I don't. But for the most part, my day-to-day job is excuse me, is going step by step through. There's an extensive workflow. Sorry about that. That I have to go through in order to get figure out what it is that I need to do, and stuff like that. So I don't want to bring up my day-to-day job because it really doesn't apply here. But after having talked to a couple people at my job, I've realized that once I have my CCIE, there won't be a need for me to be in network support anymore. I won't be NOC eligible, as you can put it. Now, network operations is more: is the router up and running? Is it fully functioning? That type of stuff. But right now, my main goal is to get a in-depth understanding of layer 2 communication. I have 4 switches. I have 2 2950 layer 2 switches and 2 3550 layer 3 switches. If you go to Cisco's website and you look up the current topology equipment and iOS images, 12.2 advanced IP services for your layer 2 for your switching, and then there's 12.4 for your advanced enterprise services for your layer 3 for your routing for your routers. So that's what you want to follow by. Now there's a very large amount of images. So what I recommend if you're using real equipment is play with a few different images. 12.4.15T, 12.4.10T, 12.4.24T. You know, play with a few different images, see how they act, see if there's any configuration issues. Once you have a topology running with a particular image, copy all of the running configurations into a notepad document, flip the topology, and load up with 12.4.24T or 12.4.34T if that's what the particular release is that you're going to run, just to see if it's any different. And then take that same configuration and drop it into those routers. See what pulls up, see what doesn't pull up, because then that's what you know that configuration isn't going to work on that particular image. And then you're able to go to Cisco's website and go, okay, well, how do I configure this on this particular iOS release? So that's what I recommend you doing. Also keep it the 5-step series. Make sure you, if you've never heard about it, it's level 1. Level 2 is you've read about it and you have a basic understanding of it. Level 3 is you can go through, you can configure it, you can verify it, and configuring and verifying, and you can make it work. Okay. Level 4, you can configure, verify, and then if there's an issue somewhere, you can troubleshoot it. You know, it's really not that hard to troubleshoot, because if your configuration or your verification is screwed up, it's either going to be one of those two things that's not right. Out of the gate. Now, there is a caveat to troubleshooting. You can have full IP reachability with no boundaries in place, meaning there's no services, there's no security, there's no quality of service put in place, nothing. No shaping, no traffic engineering, no policing. Everything is wide open. The minute you start adding technicalities to your network is when you're going to run into trouble. So make sure that as you're configuring things, you don't add anything in, any services, quality of service, or security as you're setting up your network. Full IP reachability, which means you can get from one side of the network to the other, no problem. You can ping to it, you can telnet, you can SSH, what have you. Then, once you have full reachability, you can put your services in, your security, your quality of service, your HSRPs, your quality of service, your your classifications, markings, your policing, all that type of stuff. Once you get that stuff in place, as you put in one, test it. Test it from from end to end. Can you telnet from one direction but not the other? Can you still ping? Are you blocking ICMP in an access list? So different things to look for. And then once you have that, if you can completely configure a full network, full IP reachability, and then add your optimization, your quality of service, and your security, and you still have full reachability, you've done it. Now, the goal is once you get that means you can configure everything start to finish 100%. Next is try some troubleshooting. Find something that's broke. And that could be anything. It could be a layer 2 issue, it could be a layer 3 issue. Go through, figure out what's wrong, and fix it. Go through, in the troubleshoot lab, this is something you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go in, you're going to have to figure out what's wrong, going based on the ticket. Cannot ping from R1 to R7. And R1 and R7 are 6 hops away. So you have to figure out which route is it taking, where does it stop, what's stopping it, how do you fix it? So following this 5-step process of never heard of it, you know what it is, you know how to configure it. You can configure and verify. You can configure, verify, and troubleshoot if you know more about it than just the number 3, and then 5 is get advanced understanding of it. Configure advanced topics. You know, if you're going to configure Ether channel and .1q tunneling, configure Ether channel to go over 802.1q tunneling. So that's an advanced feature. Just like when you're routing, can you route IP routing? Can you do a floating static route? Can you do a GRE tunnel? I'm just trying to look through EIGRP. Can you route EIGRP over frame relay and then put a tunnel through it? I don't even know if that's physically capable of being done, but you know, there's going to be different areas to focus on. But like I said, it's going to be a very interesting piece. Now, one thing I do have, let me back up the train here a bit, and I think I put it in this folder, and I did. I have this folder right here. This is all BGP. I plan on taking the service provider, which is the CCIE, which is now old. They retired it. The SP is service provider track. Doing that now. I do have service provider training here as well. And let's go INE service provider, and then they have all these videos. Now it is more MPLS and then BGP, but this will cover the MPLS side of it. Then there is the MPLS side. There's the BGP side. There's IS to IS. There's some right here, and then you get your quality of service, and then you get your route if you want to take the IE service provider track. But anyway, that's more than I wanted to cover on that. But there's a lot to know, and the whole purpose of the CCIE certification is so that you have an expert, advanced level understanding of everything that the routing and switching track can cover. You can get that, you'll be good to go. So follow the pace. I recommend going tracking layer by layer. So once you get layer 2 down, you can move on to layer 3. And still incorporate layer 2 into layer 3 domain. So if you're using GNS3, buy some equipment. 3560s, 3550s, 2950s. I bought two 3550s simply for the fact that I would be able to do layer 3 switching, which actually is a nice feature. And then once you have that up and running, you can simply apply it wherever you need it to. So you can take your layer 2 your physical domain, your physical environment, and apply it to your GNS3 topology, and I'll show you that in a later video. But that's basically how that works. So I'm gonna quit talking. You guys have a great holiday season, because that's what time of the year it is. It's actually Christmas Eve. I'm about to ship my kids to bed and go from there. So if you have any questions, hit me up, rraker82@yahoo.com. Don't be afraid to shoot me an email. I respond as quickly as I can. That's about it. So I hope you guys have enjoy your studies. Study hard. Make sure you focus on topics you're not strong in, and don't focus on all the topics that you're strong with. You know, the weaker you are in something, the more time you need to spend in that area to get strong. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.